Are you bracing up for the Gambia's maiden AFCON appearance? Then join us on the road to Cameroon, a special show that will whet your appetite for the Scorpions' historic debut in Africa's showpiece football event. We will bring you all the build-up and actions to Cameroon with in-depth analysis and debates on key issues. Looking at all preparations for the Gambia's maiden participation in the Nations Cup. Road to AFCON airs every Monday only on GRTS at 9 p.m. Be part of it, and let's see up the darling Scorpions to Cameroon in style. Contact GRTS Marketing to be a sponsor, and together, let's make the Gambia's first AFCON a memorable experience.
Sub-Saharan Africa is one of the least contributors to climate change, yet we bear the brunt of its adverse effects. Climate-related catastrophes displace an estimate of 20 million people annually. Carbon emissions, excessive deforestation, marine pollution, excessive farming, waste mismanagement are key contributors to climate change. In this new era of Climate Watch, we examine the reaction of Mother Nature towards human activities, its effects on people's lives and their livelihood. The rise in sea level, extreme weather conditions, the rise in temperature, droughts, sporadic rainfalls, windstorms, and flooding. So what is the government and lawmakers' reaction?
Climate is an emergency, it's urgent for us to have adequate financing.
What efforts are being made in adapting and mitigating the effects?
The people who matters get the funding to support their activities, enhance their capacity, enhance their resilience to climate change.
What are civil societies advocating for to change this human-induced phenomenon?
Here we're talking about having young people also engage in climate negotiations.
Our livelihoods are dependent on climate-sensitive activities.
Join me by Ibrahim Cham every Friday at 8:45 p.m. on GRTS as we unearth the realities surrounding the adverse effects of climate change and how transitioning to a green economy is inevitable.
Welcome to GRTS News. We are live broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. In our top stories, these are: President Barrow set to attend the 60th ordinary session of ECOWAS heads of state and government in Abuja, Nigeria. A National Human Rights Commission partners with the United Nations Human Rights Office to commemorate the International Human Rights Day. In sports, Kenya engages Qatar to provide security services during the 2022 FIFA World Cup. In the internationals, more than 50 people killed and dozens injured in Mexico's trailer crash. UK tightens COVID restrictions after facing surging Omicron variant. Well, this and much more coming ahead in this edition of the news. I am Isa Tuketa, and thanks for joining us. Well, it's great to have you with us. We begin this edition of the news with the National Human Rights Commission in partnership with the United Nations Human Rights Office of the High Commission and the University of the Gambia, which on Friday commemorated International Human Rights Day and engaged in the final of the Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara International Moot Court competition as 4 finalists go Njikinjak head-to-head to at the OIC Conference Center. Sena Bujan was there and she files in this report.
International Human Rights Day is commemorated on December 10th each year to raise global awareness on individual liberties and promotion of collective rights. This year's theme is focused on reducing inequalities and advancing human rights. This moot competition, named after the late President Jawara, a well-known human rights champion, is organized by the National Human Rights Commission to commemorate the day. Jawara's family members were present at the event, which was also graced by a top executive of the Gambia Bar Association. The chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission said the late President Jawara played a pivotal role in building the Gambia's human rights culture.
The moot court competition aligns with the general mandate of the National Human Rights Commission to promote and protect human rights, and especially under Section 12, subsection E of our Act, which says, that the National Human Rights Commission is required to promote awareness and respect for human rights through conducting human rights education and studies in the Gambia. The finalists will today argue before an imaginary African court on human and people's rights based in Arusha, Tanzania.
Themed on boosting state responsibility in respect to human rights for migrants, the second edition of the moot court competition comes to a climax with the winner collecting a cash prize and a fully paid 6-month internship at the National Human Rights Commission. A representative of the United Nations Human Rights Commissioner, Yvonne Masarakufa, held the commemoration as a universal theme to expand human rights.
The focus of today's moot, the rights of migrants in Africa, is therefore very apt in the global context as well as in the national context, wherein migration is very much a human rights issue in the Gambia. Migrants can be vulnerable to human rights violations and tend to be disproportionately vulnerable to discrimination, exploitation, and marginalization, often living and working in the shadows, afraid to complain and deny their human rights and fundamental freedoms. International human rights law requires states to protect, to respect, and to fulfill human rights at all times, including for all migrants on their territory.
The project, conceptualized from the University of the Gambia, is providing students with a unique opportunity to familiarize themselves with human rights frameworks and cases, as echoed by the acting dean of the Faculty of Law, Malik H.B. Jallo.
Since today is Human Rights Day, I think one could also reflect, albeit very shortly, on how far we have actually come also as a country, as far as the promotion and protection of human rights is actually concerned. It is not fortuitous that the most important continental human rights body is actually situated here in the Gambia. It is not fortuitous also that the most important or the frontline legal instruments for the protection and promotion of human rights in Africa is called the Banjul Charter.
Human rights and migration are inexplicably linked, according to the head of mission of the International Organization for Migration, Fumiko Nagano.
I see this moot court competition as very encouraging for 2 reasons. First, as many of us have seen, the discourse on migration around the world has increasingly become toxic, one based on misinformation, xenophobia, and fear. How refreshing to see some of the Gambia's brightest minds come together to engage in a productive debate on migration issues based on facts, evidence, and logical reasoning.
The first winner of the late President Jawara's moot competition shared her experience as an intern at the National Human Rights Commission.
Human rights work is anything but mundane. And however Herculean the task, it is always worth the toil.
The competition began, which team applicant and team respondent presented their cases on human rights protection by the African Charter. Team applicant 1 comprising of Mohamed Cisse and Ebenezer Brown, having team respondent coming second comprising of Omar Diba and Aminata Sarr. Zainab Jang for GRTS News.
And now to this press release from State House, and it reads, the Office of the President hereby informs the general public that His Excellency President Adama Barrow will be attending the 60th Ordinary Session of ECOWAS Heads of States and Government in Abuja, Nigeria on the 12th of December 2021. The President, who will be accompanied by senior government officials, will depart for Abuja from the Banjul International Airport on Saturday, 11th December 2021 at 11 a.m. The release concludes. Now, the members of the Rice Growers Association Basse cluster recently cultivated their rice fields where they grew variety of Orilus Plus 6 rice. The project is aimed at improving rice production and productivity in the country and reduce the importation of rice into the country. Seydou Kamara has the details.
The Rice Growers Association Basse cluster finally harvests their rice field in the Basse MRC camp area. The Farmer Field School and Farmer Business Department partnered to cultivate different rice varieties, including Orilus 6. This initiative is supported by the Rice Value Chain Transformation Project, seeds, fertilizers, and capacity training for stakeholders. Project coordinator Ansumana Cisse said the Farmer Field School will enhance good agricultural practice and boost production and productivity.
They all work in this place to produce rice for their life and livelihood, enhance food security, increase farmers' income, and improve the livelihood of these farmers. Marketing is very important in every production because it's a cycle. When you produce, you need to sell. Fortunately for this project, we have engaged commercial private businessmen who are involved in buying the rice we produce. The rice we produce here is Orilus 6 variety. It has a very nice aroma. It tastes very nice, so it can compete in the market positively. Another variety that we are producing and promoting is Nerica L19 sub 1, which is also a high-yielding variety and is flood resistant.
The project coordinator believes the scheme will help in the commercialization of rice production in the Gambia, reducing rice importation towards food security and improve farmer livelihoods.
We are working with private partners. In fact, he's presently buying paddy rice at $15 per kilogram. So whoever produces rice, the buyers are ready to buy the rice you have. So there's a potential market. And the increase in production here, where we are standing here, is Farmer Field School 1. We use the Farmer Field School facilitators to train these people and organize them on production techniques. This is Farmer Field School 1. Now we have Farmer Field School 2 over there, which is also due for harvest. When we started, it was not easy. We thought the rain will not enhance production. But then because of the short variety, the short duration variety nature of the rice, we started in August, and today we are harvesting Orilus 6. We have almost 15 hectares, over 300 plots, and 200 farmers are benefiting.
Members of the association highlighted some of the challenges they are faced with, such as lack of farm implements and enough water supply to adequately irrigate rice fields. Growers here said if they have the necessary equipment, the country will no longer import rice because the 15-hectare production and other areas cultivating rice in the country can supply enough rice for the country and even provide exports. This 15-hectare rice field is a massive investment driven by the Rice Growers Association in Basse, where new varieties such as Orilus 6 are making big gains. Seydou Kamara, reporting for GRTS News from Basse, Upper River Region.
Meanwhile, Maduli Village Foundation, based in the U.S., recently donated over a dozen laptops and personal computers to the Gambia Technical Training Institute. The ceremony was held at the school grounds in Joshua. The donation seeks to improve the information technological infrastructure at the center. Usman Mane has the details.
Providing seeds, fertilizers, and capacity training.
The story by Usman Mane will come later in the news. And now to this press release. Cognizant of the prevailing opportunities in trade existing in the Republic of the Gambia and Senegal, the Gambia Investment and Export Promotion Agency, GAIPA, recently embarked on a study tour to 3 key sister institutions in Dakar, Senegal, that share similar mandates to learn best practices, foster collaboration and share information. The GAIPA and host institution, Senegalese Agency for Export Promotion, ASEPEX, which is the agency responsible for the export promotion, signed a memorandum of understanding in the promotion and facilitation of trade between the two countries. The delegation consisted of representatives from the Office of the President, Ministry of Trade, Regional Integration and Employment, and the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. In the MOU, it is agreed that both parties, subject to the laws, regulations and procedures in force in the respective countries, take all appropriate measures to facilitate, strengthen and promote cooperation between the parties to promote and further strengthen the bilateral relationship between the Gambia and Senegal. It went on to agree to exchange information on products and export countries that may be available, business capacity building, sources of financing, offers and common interest in joint export promotion, licensing and identification of possible areas of business linkage building. The MOU further commits to encourage and provide necessary assistance to the relevant enterprises and organizations of each country to explore the scope for both short and long-term arrangements in investment for export promotion activities. The agreement signed on the 29th of November 2021 in Dakar, Senegal by Ousseynou Senghor, Chief Executive Officer GAIPA, and Dr. Malik Diop, Director General of ASEPEX, concluded with the following provisions. A. Staff exchange programs and work placement in the parties' respective organizations with the aim of information sharing, staff development and acquisition of new skills in discipline of trade. B. General information sharing to assist the business communities in the two countries in reaching informed investment decisions. Share information on all economic and commercial matters regarding Senegal and the Gambia, and on specific export sectors of both countries, and on those requested by either of the parties. The facilitation of individual initiative, including exhibitions, by ensuring the provision of adequate information and business support, and any other program as agreed in written by the parties. Now, the Memorandum of Understanding shall be valid for a period of 5 years. Thereafter, it shall automatically be extended for similar periods unless within a minimum period of 3 months prior to the expiration of the current period of validity, either party gives to the other a written notice of its intention to terminate. The parties undertake to act on good faith with respect to each other's rights under the MOU and to adopt all reasonable measures to ensure the realization of the objectives of the Memorandum of Understanding, the release concludes. Now, the regional stakeholders in disaster management began a 5-day contingency planning meeting in the Lower River region. The forum is organized by the National Disaster Management Agency in collaboration with the United Nations Development Program, aimed at reviewing the regional contingency plan. Alajimbai has the details.
The Lower River Region Contingency Plan is a management tool developed to enhance humanitarian action. In a bid to review the document, 25 stakeholders, mainly from government institutions, NGOs, civil society organizations, and community leaders, are attending to have their inputs in the document for effective disaster response strategies. Speaking in Mansakonko, the governor of Lower River Region, Rohijon Manjang, acknowledged the importance of reviewing the contingency plan to cater for the current realities in disaster risk reduction amidst the impact of climate change.
When we planned, time will come, it will be no more useful, especially looking at the climate change. And of course, I think the NDMA is a very important office when it's come to dealing with climate change, when it's come to dealing with natural and even man-made disasters. They are all around us when it's come to our natural issues, problems and challenges. Respond to our challenges, both the foreseen one and the unforeseen ones. Let's try to do a very good comparative analysis. If you cannot compare things as to what has actually happened to the past, you'll not be able to design for anything that will be meaningful for the future.
The Deputy Executive Director of the National Disaster Management Agency, Serigne Modou Diouf, described the plan as a regional blueprint for disaster preparedness and response. Diouf is hopeful that the document will enhance the required capacity for adequate and effective response during emergencies.
The plan serves as the region's blueprint for preparing for and responding to disasters. The plan, if well articulated, which I suppose that's why we are all here, we expect that the efforts we are going to put together, implementation of the plan. In 2014, LRR identified hazards such as bush and domestic fires, floods and windstorm, and disease outbreak. The present contingency plan outlines the history of disasters within the region and the projected likelihood trend.
The tool is also expected to incorporate resource mobilization and communication strategies to enhance regional disaster preparedness and response, particularly on hazards such as Alhaji Mbai, GRTS News.
That this coupled with the official handing over of materials and equipment to Gambia Marketing Information System and Gambia Livestock Marketing Agency and the Department of Fisheries in partnership with the Permanent Interstate Committee for Drought Control in the Sahel. Aissatou Jata Gassama has the details.
To deliver long-term impact with a regional 13 SEALS member states. Musa Huma is the Deputy Permanent Secretary of CONA SEALS.
These materials is going to help us in a great deal in the area of some data inputting, analysis, retrieval and usage, and it's going to be helpful not only to the agricultural natural resource domain, but to a lot of other sectors.
The Minister of Agriculture, Ami Fabre, said part of the implementation activities include the initiation of processes to strengthen market information systems of the Gambia in view of
the first phase particularly concerns 7 Sahelian countries, namely Burkina Faso, the Gambia, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, Senegal, and Chad. While the national component has invested heavily in the development of rural infrastructure, the regional component is committed to support the development of value chains and the regional markets.
Minister Fabre added that amongst the 7 P2RS countries, only the Gambia has benefited from the establishment of a fish SIM 2G scheme, which he described as a demonstration of their ability to set up market information systems for strategic areas of the economy.
Since through the regional P2RS has supported capacity building training of our personnel, both locally and within other sister member countries. And the telephones that will go a long way in improving data collection, storage, processing, analyzing, and the generation of information to inform policy level for the informed national policy formulation.
The presentation of components for the market information system was done by the Department of Fisheries, Livestock and GAMIS. The market transformation program seeks to strengthen the resilience of rural households in the Sahel to mitigate the devastating effects of climate news. I am Aissatou Jata Gassama.
At large for electing His Excellency President Adama Barrow. Mondu Bajan has the details.
Jinkon family, which include Jinkon Real Estate, Jinkon Brothers and Sisters and Jinkon Foundation for Development, recently held a press briefing, thanking their focal persons and the public at large. Young Ward Councillor, a founding member of the organization Modu Bojang, further delved on the essence of the engagement.
Kombo South, one of the only political
elected political position holder, which gave his support to President Adam Barrow and NPP. I want to take this opportunity also to thank the Kombo South NPP constituency executive. I would like to thank the NPP executives of the 3 wards, which is Kato Ward, Gunjur Ward, and Sanya Ward. We will take this opportunity also to invite every Gambian, especially the press, to come and join us. We'll organize a very, very big and massive or a grand victory celebration for Kombo South for the job well done of re-electing President Adama Barrow.
Speaking of matters of Jinkon Brothers and Sisters, which is the political wing of the group, its chairperson Musudrame and former Lamin Toure, NPP National Youth PRO, hailed the body which has been supporting the agenda of President Adama Barrow, as well as his recent re-election campaign and victory. The program manager of Jinkon Foundation, Lamin Konate, and other Jinkon officials such as Seni Mane spoke on activities of the entity, which they said is contributing to the country's development.
We went around the country canvassing vote for President Barrow, which they all promised, and then they fulfilled their promise by voting massively to re-elect President Barrow. So this is why we organized this press briefing, to come back to those guys that help us and make us feel proud, to congratulate them and then thank them in one way or the other. Jinkon, as I said earlier on, is a foundation created or formed by 2 benevolent Gambians, hails from Jambu, that is Keba Madi Boja, and then Honorable Momodu Boja, who were venturing into real housing estate business.
While Lamin highlighted that Jinkon plows back some of its profits towards national development, Modu Bojang reiterated that the president is re-elected due to his hard work, which is being emulated by the Jinkon family.
Their own personal money or the revenues generated from the real housing, this is what is plowed back, and then being invested in creating gardens, sponsoring women in their gardens, students, providing milling machines from cotton to Koina. We have given more than 100 million machines. We are giving support to more than 50 women gardens within the country. We are sponsoring more than 100 students from basic and secondary and then even tertiary education. So I think Jinkon is now becoming a family name. I think the reason why the Gambians re-elect President Adam Barrow is because of his hard work. And it's the same hard work we, under him, also emulated. That's why we are able to secure a victory in Kombo South also as political players within Kombo South. For us, we were doing our part. As various speakers lamented here, we help lots of people within Kombo South and the length and breadth of this country. We have different projects, and we want to continue on those projects. Through the local government as a councillor, we will continue doing that. Through our foundation, Jinkon, we will continue doing that.
Founded by persons including Keba Madi Bojang and Sanyang Ward Councillor Modu Bojang, officials underscored that they will continue working towards nation building amid supporting government's development agenda. For the news, this is Modu Bojang.
Well, over now to our earlier mentioned story by Usman Mane on the donation of over a dozen personal computers and laptops to the Gambia Technical Training Institute. Here's more.
This is one of the series of donations by Maduli Village Foundation, based in the U.S. to his native country, involved in providing healthcare materials, among other assistance, to needy communities. This initiative, according to the founder, support technical and vocational education training in the country. The donated items include 14 laptops and 14 personal computers, will go a long way in contributing towards the development of the institution in the areas of administration and management.
Seen here being displayed
is a testimony of our commitment to make sure that GTTI move along the global world and to move with technology and to make sure that we are on top of things, because GTTI has to be identified as a center of excellence. And if you have to be identified as a center of excellence, that means that you must have to observe best practices. And today, these computers, I can bet to tell you, Mr. Lee, is going to add tremendous quality improvement a lot. It will add value, and we would see a lot of change. Yes, there is a lot of development going on, but this is just another impetus on the trail.
Jibril Lee, Senior Safety Engineer, JTM Company, outlined the various donations rendered by the charitable organization in the areas of education and health.
Sisters and brothers, life is today, but it can be tomorrow. Get it right now. Do it wise. The opportunity now is today. If you fail it today, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. Because if you don't work hard, if you don't sacrifice, you don't get what you want. You're going to be dependent.
The Director General, Gambia Technical Training Institute, Edward C. Mansell, hailed the Gambia government for transforming GTTI to a technical university, citing the donation as means of capacitating the staff and the school to access relevant learning materials.
In order for GTTI to advance, you are there to sell our programs. And that's why any occasion that we have, we like you to be present. I can bet for Gambia to move, this institution, it's the right institution to develop the Gambia. And with this transformation process being supported by Kumasi and Demonfort, the sky is the limit. And we have young engineers here who are the solutions to the problems of the Gambia. I'm sure you can do it.
The donation will serve as a booster for Maduli Village Foundation to meet bigger organizations in the United States in facilitating more humanitarian support to the needy. Usman Mane, GRTS.
Well, that takes us to a break. The news returns in a moment. Do stay.
AfriCell, in partnership with Geek Express, visited 22 schools.
I learned things I never knew before.
Provided 1,200 students new skills to practice and learn.
To teach us how to use because right now we're in the modern technology.
New technologies.
I learned so much about it because this is my first time of experiencing such, and I'm very happy about it.
3D printing. Robotics.
It was really fun, and then we got to learn new things, especially about robots.
Electronics, VR and AR. Drone enables students to explore new opportunities.
But I've never done it like with real life and then fixing objects on my own. So it's been a pleasure.
New information connects students to the technology world.
There wouldn't be a future without you. You are the future.
AfriCell, the Gambia's leading network.
Welcome back. And in sports, Kenya is in advanced talks with Qatar to provide security services during the 2022 FIFA World Cup, which will be held between November 21st and December 18th next year. The country's Interior Cabinet Secretary, Fred Matiang'i, said on Friday. Matiang'i says his man has been reached in principle. In quote, "In principle, we agreed with my Qatari counterpart, Sheikh Khalid, that Kenya could provide security personnel to support the Supreme Committee on the delivery and legacy of Qatar in providing security services during the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar." Now, the Gambia's powerlifting and bodybuilding team are currently in Dakar to take part in a powerlifting and as well paid a courtesy call on the ambassador of the Gambia to Senegal ahead of a major tournament. Judge says you've traveled with the team, and this is his report. I guess that story by Seth Youth will air in our subsequent bulletin. We'll go with other news from beyond our shores. And now go. Local officials said most of them are migrants. Frank Contreras has more from Mexico City.
just starting to come in on this tragic highway incident that took place in the southern Mexican state of Chiapas. Civil protection authorities in the state of Chiapas, speaking to witnesses, are told that the truck was carrying more than 100 people aboard, a tractor trailer. It was traveling at excessive speed. Witnesses say it hit a sharp curb, and in that moment, the driver lost control tragically. The vehicle flipped over and smashed into a pedestrian bridge in the area there and also into a concrete structure. And of course, that was disastrous. Bodies were strewn all about the highway. Eyewitnesses have reported that bodies are now being shown on social media, covered up in white cloth, lying on the roadway there. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador is lamenting this tragic situation, sending condolences to the families. This tragedy comes just a day after the United States to use again this new system called Remain in Mexico. It's a migrant protection protocol, so-called program under the Trump administration, whereby migrants are now required to remain in Mexico. We're told that at least 58 people have been sent to hospital, some of them in very grave condition. So that means the possibility of the death toll rising here in Mexico in this deadly incident. The details.
And now to end the news, a look at our main points once again. President Adama Barrow to attend the 60th ordinary session of ECOWAS heads of state and government in Abuja, Nigeria. A National Human Rights Commission has partnered with the UN Human Rights Office to commemorate the International Human Rights Day. In sports, Kenya has engaged Qatar to provide security services during the 2022 FIFA World Cup. In the internationals, more than 50 people are killed and dozens injured in Mexico's trailer crash. Elsewhere, UK tightens COVID restrictions after facing a surge in Omicron variant. Well, that was all we had time for in the news at 8. Do join me again at 2200 hours for more news and updates. Until then, I am Aisha Tuketa and thanks for watching.